and the viewers. Thank you very much for staying with us. We're talking to the recently appointed minister within the Ministry of Communities, and of course, it's really good to have her. I promised you since last week, but the minister and I got our lines crossed somehow, but it's good to have her on this week. Of course, we'll talk about a whole lot of things. I know, let me apologize from the onset because people have been messaging me to ask why I'm not opening up the phone lines, especially when the Minister of Housing is on. But she's still streamlining her office and so on, so I can guarantee you that when that is done, the Minister will come back on Facing the Nation. I will open up the phone lines, and then you can pose all your questions to her. She has to be prepared, and she has to settle in first before she can take some of your questions. But of course, she'll give you a lot of information here today. Madam Valarie Patterson, welcome to Facing the Nation, and congratulations on your appointment as Government Minister.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let's talk about, even before we talk about the department and the ministry that you're heading, let's talk a bit about Valarie Patterson. And what do you expect for Guyana, especially now that you've been in politics for some time now, but what do you expect for Guyana, and what should Guyana expect from you now that you're Minister of Government?
Okay, I have a lot of expectations for Guyana, but I'll curtail it to do with the Ministry of Housing.
Sure.
Because that's the purpose I'm serving here today. First of all, I would like to see every Guyanese owning their own home. We have 83,000 square miles as our area. We have lots of land. Yes, we have lots of forest, but because of our low population, we should be able to house everybody comfortably. I mean, we have so much compared to Trinidad, Barbados, and the other Caribbean islands. Even Britain, can fit into Guyana. And when you go around, I was fortunate to be there early December. And the population compared to us, oh my God, why can't we give every eligible Guyanese a piece of land to build a house or a home? We can.
Okay.
And so that's my vision.
I like the vision, and I'm happy that you did say we have land. It's everywhere. But of course, there's been a headline recently, sentiments attributed to you, that one of the reasons we would have had the backlog in applications, home applications, land applications, is because there is, you can correct me if I'm misquoting here, is there some sort of shortage in land? Let's talk about that.
What you would notice that the ministry has categorized the land space, the house lots. And the categories are low income, middle income, high income. And some people are even below low income. And I say that because the low income land costs about $300,000, and there's some people who cannot afford to pay that. So they are on the poverty line.
Would you advocate for us to reduce prices?
I will advocate for us. I will ensure it happens. I know that the costs came about as a result of many different criteria. It's not only, because added to that, we have to put the infrastructure in.
Yes.
The vision of our president and this government is not to give people just a house lot, but to give you an access road of high quality, to give you water, to give you electricity. So in times past, when you just had a house lot allocated to you, and in so many cases, people can't even find the location of it. They can't reach to it because of, so much bushes around. But that has changed. And the thing is not that GWI is doing the infrastructure to get the water to the home, or GPL providing the infrastructure for electricity. No. Housing is doing all of that. So all of that contributes to the cost of the land. or the cost of the home that is allocated to you.
So that is usually taken into consideration when you...
Yes.
So you did say that it's not GWI or GPL, but I know there's also the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. Does that mean that your department will be working along with the Public Infrastructure
I
Ministry?
can't say if that happened in the past.
Okay.
But this department, this ministry is working closely with every other ministry. And why you say that? Even the Ministry of Social Protection, for instance, we have the core houses. Those are basically for people with difficult circumstances, people who below the poverty line, people who have situations beyond their control. And for instance, I had on Wednesday a young lady who came. She has 7 children, was thrown out of the home she was living in at family members. What are you going to do in a case like that? Leave her on the streets with 7 children, kids? That is an immediate situation where we can allocate to her a core house.
Oh.
And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the core house. But so these are circumstances. The Ministry of Social Protection, based on, because you know they deal with welfare matters, and they will refer people to us. So myself and Minister Valda Lawrence, we are now working closely because they will know of cases that need such a service. And so once she refer to us and we have immediate allocation. This is not a case where the application will go through the system.
Oh.
This is a case where the need will be
emergency.
met readily.
Okay, let's talk about the core houses available. Are they in one area? And you know, there are so many people in our society in need, and there may be persons watching this program right now, and then of course some of them will watch it later on social sites and so on. So they would want to know, and you did talk about the situation where a woman with 7 children, and there are many of them out there.
Many.
How, because people are going to want to know, how can they make contact with the ministry or whatever in terms of being allotted or temporarily allotted? Because I'm assuming the core house is a temporary thing until...
No, it's a permanent.
Core house is...
Yes, but, all right, let me just explain.
Good, sure.
It's a project that the government of Guyana collaborated with IDB. The house costs about $2.4 million, but it's subsidized and it's given to the applicant for $100,000. Now, the house has, the 2 opposite walls are out of wood and the other 2 out of concrete. It was done like that to facilitate expansion. It is 4 walls, roof, flooring, toilet and bath, electricity, water. And you will do the internal walls whenever you can afford. So, you know, the only thing absent is the internal walls.
Is this a case where you have them, the core house? Is it a scheme, one area?
It's in one area. It's in Parfait Harmony, in the area called Rectorcy.
Okay.
So it's 400 that was done.
Oh.
The sad thing, however, is that these people who were allocated the homes had to go through a process. You had to meet certain requirements.
This was, sorry to cut in, this was going on before the
Yes,
new
before.
administration took office? Okay.
No, this new administration.
This is new,
yeah.
okay.
As a matter of fact, I'm not too certain whether it started in the previous administration.
But we're clear that this
but
administration
yes.
is continuing. Go ahead.
And so of the 400, there were 6 to 1, or still is about 51 homes that were not occupied. Now, after going through this process over a year, so it had to start with the former administration,
Yeah.
and you met the requirements, then what should not make you occupy? Some persons, 2 years, they have not
And have
occupied.
not been
Yes.
occupying, even though it's been granted to them?
Yes. And you know what? The title has already been processed in their names. So what we're doing right now is making contact with these people. Because 61 homes to make available to 6 to 1 more families who really need. So we're not going to allow these people to have these houses unoccupied continuously. So we're making contact with them. I had one case last week where the house was not occupied by the young woman. And then eventually, after housing made contact with her, she placed her father in the house. Now, that was not the purpose.
The agreement.
So I think sometime in December, housing repossessed the house from her. She came to see me. But when I listened to her, she had a genuine case. And it was an issue of security for her 2 daughters because she was not working in close proximity of where they were going to school. They would have had to go home by themselves and 13, 14.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, vulnerable age.
But she's now ready to occupy. Things have changed. And so what I did, okay, mercy was given to her. And so she's now, we're processing her. But we're calling in the 51. 10 have already indicated. And the 51, we're working on getting an understanding from them as to why they have not.
It's interesting indeed because we have people complaining every day that they've
day.
applied years upon
I can
years
tell you in
before.
the 2 weeks I'm there, I can already have 51 persons that will occupy those 51 homes. So that's the process we're going through right now.
Okay.
It's difficult, or a little more difficult, because the titles were processed to them.
Core houses aside, let's talk about the other regular applicants and so on who are complaining. I've known cases where people would have applied since 2008, 2009,
2008?
Yes.
I've had a case on Monday in Linden of 1998.
Okay,
I've
great.
had a case on Wednesday of 1997.
How?
I've had cases of year 2000, 2001, 2002, 3.
How will the ministry address those situations?
So those are the cases I am now working on, because those are people that should have priority for any allocation. So I'm having the department responsible now put together a report for me, and I'm going to call these people in. Some of these people did their interview and was never called. Some received letters saying that, we put your application on file, and nothing after. It's unfair because there are some people who, person said to me they know of people, and I had a case where one man gave me 2 names of people who applied 2012. One was 2013, and they got an allocation. Sure. I'm not going to judge anybody. I don't know what is the circumstance under which it was done. But I'm saying we will ensure that justice prevails.
Okay, understood. There's another question, and I keep getting this question via emails and text messages and so on often. People are saying that, yes, and not people are saying, it's a fact. Many of us are poor, not necessarily way below the poverty line, but we're poor. What is the timeline when you allocate the house lot? What is the timeline, and if it's a flexible timeline when people can pay for it?
For all the letters I've seen so far that was sent to applicants, they had a 1-month timeline.
Is that sufficient?
No, it's not. My concern is, how can a person who works for $75,000 being allocated a house lot for $2 million or $1.5 million? Come on. And there are many cases. Mm-hmm. I've had on Wednesday, I've done reallocations to some persons on the spot, because I don't believe that after persons have gone through the process for so long, you need to keep them for another year or two. The thing is, Malika, they are, from my reports that I receive, actual reports, they are lands, 500,000, 6, 7, 800,000 and above. We have those lands available. Why are we allocating a 1.2 million to a young man or a woman, whoever, who's earning less than $100,000? And some of them are given 1 week. This is the reality. I'm not covering up anything here for the ministry. Mm-hmm. This is the reality. Some of them, when you look at the date of the letter to the date given for the appointment, it's less than a week. And they had to find half of that money. Come on, then we're not offering a proper service to the Guyanese. That is going to change.
Do you have in mind that, because you did say some of them is 1 month and you're not necessarily pleased with that, do you have a time in mind to extend that?
Well, the 1 month was for them to come up with at least half. And then they can pay the rest in installments. But that's too short. Some people, as I was really amazed, I met a young lady on Wednesday. Wednesday was open day. And she said to me, I knew that I had to save for my house lot. Mm-hmm. And I've been saving. And so over the years, I was really amazed at her. She was saving. She said, some days I went without to save. And that's a good attitude for our young people. You know that you are working towards owning your own home, begin to save. So when I gave her the reallocation, she could have gone downstairs immediately and paid for it. She could not meet what was sent to her in the letter, the 1.2. But I think she got a 700,000 plot, and she was able to pay. Okay. Because she saved that amount over the years, but definitely could not meet 1.2.
Okay. Viewers, if you're now tuning in, this is Facing the Nation. I am chatting with Minister within the Ministry of Communities, Valarie Sharpe Patterson. Of course, she was recently appointed minister with specific responsibility for the housing department. As you know, that's a big issue for us here in Guyana. Minister, you touched on, you mentioned open day a while ago. We've also been getting questions is, how can I see, whether it be the minister, how can I get a day? Is Wednesday the specific open day to see?
Every Wednesday from 8 to 3. Mm-hmm. That's the time, but I can tell you my first open day, Wednesday gone, mm-hmm. I went up to Minister 7. Because even though I put a closing time of 3, if there are people there, I will see them. Unless I have an emergency to go somewhere. But I will see them. Once they're there, I will see them.
And this is 8 to, well, the scheduled time is 8 to 3.
8 to 3, yes.
Okay. All right. You also made some statements since you became minister regarding, and I'm assuming that because the way you, in a sense, to use our term, hit the ground running, I'm sensing that you have these things going on internally all the time. You talked about the criteria being a bit ridiculous in terms of young people being allocated or not allocated. Let's talk about your policy and sentiments where the criteria is concerned.
Okay, I must say that I'm meeting with the board on the 28th. Change of policies, I will do it in collaboration with the board.
This is at the housing?
Yes, CHMPA board. Mm-hmm. Because we have a board, and I don't want what happened in the past where the board was just a board that had no authority, right? And so I will meet with them, and we will look at 3 main things for me. Moving that 25,000 house lot applications, live applications. 2, reducing the cost for land that is available. And 3, looking at what we can offer our young people. I said before, and I'm going to say it again, in every interview I do, I will say it. I do not agree that a young woman or a young man must be married, must have children before receiving an allocation. I had a classical situation this morning where this woman called in. Her first application, she said, first of all, she has about 1,000 applications in the system. Her first application, she was told, you have to be married. She went and got married. She went back. Her second visit says, you have to have a child. She went and got a child and went back, only to be told that you have to have at least 2 children.
2 children before.
She went and got a second one.
Child.
Isn't that an amazing story? Wow. So she called in, and I'm going to meet with her in the new week. And I'm going to resolve her situation.
Okay.
Because her application was, I think, somewhere around 2003, but quite a while.
Okay. Minister, we're quickly coming to the close of today's program, but before I let you go, I also have to ask you, there has been so much complaints about what happens at Brickdam there when you visit housing. And it's not only complaints, these are facts, because I've experienced it myself. The staff members, some of them, I can't generalize.
I'm so happy you're raising this.
Yes, it is not, some of them, they operate as though, unless you're somebody like a Valarie, Patterson, I don't know, or a Minister Harmon, or even in my case, a Malika Ramsey, that they can identify with somehow, oh, we know her, she's a minister, or this person is on television. Unless you're that, they treat you as though you're, I really don't want to say animals, but it's really bad, and I could not believe it was that bad until I experienced it for myself. Like, what provisions are being put in place to train them?
Let me say this to you up front. Day one, I had a meeting with senior management. Day two, I had a meeting with the frontline staff. The theme of that meeting was changing the face of this ministry. I know what you're talking about. I've not experienced it personally. But when I went to work the very first day, I showed up there at about 7:05.
Early bird.
Early bird. I'm usually in office by 7:15. And I saw for myself, because they didn't know who I am. And I saw some things. Okay? So day two, I had a meeting with all the frontline staff from all the departments. And I said to them, very profoundly, today is All Year's Day. It might sound like a joke. And I was very serious. Today is All Year's Day. I'm giving you a chance to change. Tomorrow, it's January 1 for us at the ministry, New Year's. And I spoke to them about their punctuality, regularity, mode of dress, attitude towards the public. You see, attitudes are based on perception. So if I perceive that you're a nobody, I treat you that way. So that was what was happening. If you're an important person, you come. Yes. So I said, I'm giving you an opportunity to change. Everybody wouldn't jump on board immediately, but I can tell you there has been changes. I met with senior and middle management 2 days after that, and we looked at some things. Even today, I had to deal with 2 issues. The issue of the cashier. Now, we have people there all day. When I show up there at 7, there are people there already. Many people too. So what kind of service are we offering if at 12 o'clock the cashier closes off for 1 hour and those people have to sit and wait? So today is the last day that happened.
That happens, okay.
From Monday, we will have, and I gave the mandate to the head of operations. Either you have, because I don't want the cashier to be the person working through lunch every day. So we will have a relief cashier. So we will be giving service throughout our hours of operation. Secondly, there has been situations where on the ground floor when people come in, the security determines who sees the
Yes.
minister or not. That is changed after today. And thirdly, many persons have complained to me, and I tried myself. The telephone lines, people don't answer and they're sitting right there. Today's the earliest day for those
that
three
too.
departments.
Minister, I am so happy that you talked about that. We're happy that we have a no-nonsense minister to deal with this issue for this sector because it is needed. Unfortunately, we have run out of time today, but I can promise you, Minister Patterson will be back. Of course, by the time she settles in and gets all of her ducks in a row, which clearly from listening to her, she's already on the road there. When she gets all her ducks in a row, we will definitely have the minister back. And I promise you also, we will open the phone lines and she'll be able to take some of your questions and concerns. But for now, I'd like to thank you very much, Minister
Thank you
Patterson,
for having me.
appearing on Facing the Nation. Also, thank you very much to the U.S. Ambassador to Guyana, His Excellency Perry Holloway, who was here earlier. It was certainly a pleasure also chatting with him. I am Malika Ramsey, reminding you to be good Guyanese citizens. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and of course, join me again next week. And next week, we'll be dealing with the issue of water shortage, possible water shortage in Guyana, because you know there's been a prolonged dry season. Join us then.